My name is Cody Dean. This is the final project for Marty Brock's class, MIS 470. Here is my ID information. I'll try to send a photocopy of it as well if it is not clear. Here's the backside if that is needed. Alright, so this is for the creation of a student registration portal for users. So in the beginning, we will start with an interviewing phase. We'll be interviewing people from 5 different backgrounds, such as student records, the financial aid office, student accounts, human resources, and the IT department. Questions will usually begin with open questions such as, what do you feel the program requires to become successful for students? We use this information to get a general idea of what people might think that it would need, what they think they would use, and what they think their friends might use. Such things might get added to the system depending on, I guess, easeability or usability for the future. We then turn questions to closed questions such as, is the current system satisfactory? Usually getting a yes or no answer. That way we can get precise thoughts on what we currently have and whether or not it needs to be improved. So why would we use a questionnaire? A questionnaire may provide good results in terms of finding a general opinion. One could use surveys where users and staff can provide their full thoughts in a text box or other means of feedback. Using a questionnaire, we allow our staff to focus on what needs to be asked to get a specific answer to a specific problem, such as future upgrades or expandability. If questions are not asked, it will be difficult to ascertain what needs to be done and added into the upcoming program. One issue we might run into with interviews is distractions. And usually the best methods for keeping an interview on task is usually just when you're dealing with a subject who's being distracted or appears nervous during an interview, the interviewer could focus on making the environment less distracting or intimidating by focusing on keeping their area clean and professional. Another way to reduce issues could be even having more than one person in the room to help the process ease tensions. Will help ease tensions in the process. The other user could essentially just chat up the user until they are more acquainted with the interview and have less on their minds. Dealing with quantitative documents, we have examples such as a survey for the entire campus would be something that was beneficial as long as it contains general questions regarding the general opinion on what needs to be changed and upgraded. One could use focus groups to ensure that specific questions are asked only of specific groups. You wouldn't ask tech questions to HR or other departments that are not IT. Interviewing the head of the department, or if you have time, even the entire department with specific questions could help get a better idea as to what needs to happen for the program to be successful. So, certain methods of observation. One of the easiest ways to observe how many users use future programs is how they currently use what is available to them now. Watch where they go first, watch how they get to their destinations, observe how long it takes for them to accomplish their tasks, and using this data, we can help build a more efficient application or software that allows users to accomplish their tasks quicker and better than before. And next should be the Webster registration example. Fortunately, I'm not an artist, and this was made in Excel, so it's not exactly the prettiest, but it works out somewhat the way it needs to for user registration information. So generally, first, before we do any rollouts or anything like that, we would deal with a data validation plan. Overall, a user would need to fill an entire form to completion. Feedback would come back in the form of an error stating that the information is missing. 3 examples of this. Well, unfortunately, I can't go back. Three examples of this would be something such as the social security number, the date of birth, and the email address fields, as these help to identify a user in the system and give the user a very specific ID number. Data validation would be done through comparing users' information to a current list of users. Any duplicates or errors that come up would display an error stating duplicate information. Duplicate information is generally avoided by having user IDs with thousands of different combinations. So you'd use like, their first and last initials and then maybe 4 different letters or so. So now we want to move on to the rollout of the system. The new system can be rolled out in a pilot program-esque phase, where users in small groups are added and test the capabilities of error checking of the system. Groups that are used in the testing can range from higher ranking officials to even lower end staff, depending on what all would need to be done. Students can also be added in batches based on grade level so that older students or graduating students get first-hand experience with the new program. This will ensure that users get to use the system at their own pace and the system builders can view what needs to be changed before a full-scale release. So generally a training plan will also be done in phases as they are sent out in. Users, depending on skill level, will be provided with short videos or step-by-step guides on what each page requires of them and what they need to do to fulfill the requirements of the program. Documentation will be provided by the program creators and it will contain specific instructions on how to proceed through it without issues, essentially. So disaster recovery plan. In the event of a breach or a catastrophic failure, user data is kept in a secure off-site server on the campus private servers, essentially. Software-wise, the program blocks out any unwanted traffic or potentially unwanted programs from running in the background that could compromise users' information. Essentially, think of the same way that banks run their mobile websites. If a hacker attempts to view your screen, all they see is a black screen. In terms of recovery, data is backed up daily and user information is stored in secure remote servers offsite. Any data loss is immediately replaced by the latest backup. So in conclusion, with any new system, new guidelines must be set based on the information provided by the company and its employees. Using successful methods to obtain information and subsequently train employees with said information will help render a new upgrade a success in any capacity. In the future, the goals of the company will always remain as ensuring that all system upgrades and improvements continue without issue and with great assistance from its user base. And I will assume that concludes it, and I'm going to hit stop right now.